Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles with me, Anna Rebecca Quinn. And thank you for joining our healing circle, because that's what we do whenever we come together to listen to these healing ideas and A Course in Miracles together. We are creating a healing circle, a circle in which we are listening to the loving truth about ourselves, letting it change our mind about ourselves, and then naturally, effortlessly, those changed ideas, those loving ideas, then naturally, effortlessly go out into the world, helping other people too to remember the truth about themselves. So that is what we are doing. Thank you for being here. If you are here, hit the like, share, and subscribe button and encourage the algorithm to send this class out to more folks. Thank you for being here. And I think I'm going to take just a couple of moments here and just do what I call an opening meditation, just to allow our minds to become quiet, allow our minds to focus, that our minds might open, that our minds might be open to a higher loving truth about ourselves, and that we might be healed. So I'm going to turn up this music a bit, and I want you to, if you haven't already, I want you to close your eyes. Get this music turned up a little bit. All right. All right, you guys. So we're going to do a little bit of an opening meditation for just a couple of minutes or so, and then we're going to get into the reading for today. So close your eyes, take a breath. Let go of your day. Let go of any thoughts that might be occupying your conscious mind. Focus your mind on your breath. Deep breath in. On the exhale, let go of everything that is not happening right here, right now. Breathing in to this moment now. Feeling into this moment now. Tuning your awareness like a dial on a radio to the frequency and the vibration of this moment now. Drawing your awareness inward and upward. Feeling the power and the peace of this present moment now. This is your point of power. This is where you access your power of decision to decide otherwise if you don't like the way you feel. We are practicing the present moment. Practice tuning into it, letting the past and the future go. Practicing accessing the power of decision that is available to us in the present moment. And breathe it in and feel the power and the peace present in this moment now, where you are. Breathe it in, let go of everything else, everything that's keeping you from being present now. Let it go. And see if you can detect the presence that lives in the present moment. Feel for that presence. Open your heart and your mind to this presence. This presence that lives in the present moment, this is your true self, your only spirit self. And we take a moment to feel our true self, to feel its love, its power, its peace. See if you can feel the power of the presence of your real self, your inner peaceful self, the part of you that is eternal, the part of you that is always at peace, because it is only love and it is eternal. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, guys. Wonderful. Okay, take a breath, bring your awareness back. Hi, Irene. Lovely to see you. And let me go to my Facebook page and see if I can turn it on. All right, there we go. Okay, guys, you should be able to see me now on my Facebook page as well. Hi, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Oh, thank you. You know, my ego likes to hear that you like my hair. Decided to do a little experimenting with my hair today. I'm going through a hair transition right now. Been having a follicular call for love lately. So thank you, Mary. All right. Beautiful. Oh, I like the bangs. All right, you guys. So thanks for being here. And where we're going to be today is in the workbook in lesson 67 in the workbook, Love Created Me Like Itself. Okay. So let me know also, guys, if you can hear me okay. Can you hear me okay? I've got my microphone here. I can turn it up if you need to, or turn it down if I need to. I know I have a very loud voice. I've heard that all my life. So let me know how it sounds, the volume, and when you guys can see me on Facebook, let me know as well. All right. Let's have some miracle good fun, shall we? All right. Love this section. Such a beautiful, powerful section, reminding us in a beautiful, compelling, powerful way about the truth of who we are. Course in Miracles says our only problem is that we have an identity problem. It says all problems go back down to that you do not know who you are. You believe that you created yourself and that you are of your own making. And that is a problem because we did not create ourselves. And what we have made ourselves to be is not only love. What we created, what we made ourselves to be, what we made up ourselves to be was not only loving and lovable, but the opposite. What we made ourselves up to be was guilty, a limited, mortal, fallible body, guilty. That's what we made ourselves to be. And so we're suffering from false identity syndrome. And if you knew and accepted the truth about you that was established by your author, your creator, in your creation, then you could not suffer. If you knew the truth about yourself as your only loving creator created you to be, you could not feel alone. You could not be afraid if you knew who you really are, how you were truly created to be, and that you were created that way eternally. Of Course in Miracles tells us that the way that we were created by our true author, God, who is also only love, that is a reality that could only make us supremely happy. So if we knew the truth about our creation, we could only be happy. So let's hear about the truth about ourselves as we were created by our actual author. Okay? And let yourself be healed. Let all of your false ideas that you learned about yourself in the past, let all those fearful self-concepts that you adapted and adopted from your past, let them all be replaced by the truth about who you are. And the first step to that replacement, that exchange, is the listening to the truth about yourself that was established by your author and your creator. That's the first part, is listening to it, and listening to it even if you don't believe it. We know you don't believe it. That's why you need it. So, but the first part is the listening and the practicing of it. So that's what we're going to do. All right. So guys, I'm going to put up here, it's already up here. And we're going to go ahead and begin. All right. So lesson 67 in the workbook. Love created me like itself. Who created me? Love. Okay. The Course in Miracles defines God, our creator, our author, our source, as love. So instead of saying God created me like itself, it says love created me like itself, to remind us, to teach us that God is not what we learned about God in the past. Thank you, God. God is love, unconditional love, love without limit, love with no exception. Only love is God, is our creator, is our author and finisher. God is the authority on who and what we really are, which really means love is the authority on who and what we are. And so we're being reminded that, first of all, that our creator is only love. And whatever we learned about God as a judge and angry and partial and condemning, and the God that we learned about is bipolar, schizophrenic, psychopathic, and completely narcissistic, malignant narcissist. That's the characteristics of the God we learned about in the past. And look what that belief about God has produced on our planet. It has produced an entire planet with a belief system that controls the whole planet based on guilt, based on sin, based on the lie that we're separate from each other, and which has resulted in a world at war with itself and with each other. So that's the result of the belief that God is anything but love. And we are learning in A Course in Miracles that God is only love. God is but love. And therefore, so are we. God is only love. And therefore, so are we. Right? But we need to hear that many, many, many times before we accept that. So, all right. Well, Greg, let me see if I know how to do this. I'm going to try to, okay. I don't know how to do that right now. All right. Here we are. Lesson 67. Thank you, Greg. Greg says, and the God we learned about is very, don't forget, insecure. Exactly. All the qualities that you least like in another human being is what we have projected onto God. And thank God, God is none of those things. God is but love, only love. And any definition of God as anything but love is a mistake. It's a misperception that will result in you believing that you are something else besides only love. All right. So, lesson 67, love created me like itself. Says today's idea is a complete and accurate statement of what you are. A complete and accurate statement of what you are. Love created me like itself. Now, that love created you like itself, this is why you are the light of the world. Because love created you like itself, that's why you are the light of the world. And that love created you like itself, this is why God appointed you as the savior of the world. Wow. Did you know that God has appointed you as the savior of the world? You are the savior of the world, not somebody else. You, me, we are the saviors of the world. Okay? We are the saviors of the world. The Course in Miracles says, for the world you made to be saved, you have to take your place among the saviors of the world you made. Right? How is the world saved? How is the world healed? As you and me take our place as saviors of the world. We are the saviors we've been waiting for. We are the savior we've been waiting for. You know why? Because we're here. We don't have to wait for someone or something from the past or the future to come save the world. We are the saviors of the world. Why? Because we made it. Course in Miracles says, because you made the world, you're the one who needs to save the world. You're the one who needs to heal the world, because we're the ones who made it. All right. And because love created you like itself, this is why This is why the whole world looks to you for its healing, for its salvation. Wow. The whole world is saved by what you are. Who knew? But the world is saved by who you really are, who you truly are. Right? Who knew? Now you do. The whole world is saved by what you are. So as I accept what I am as only love, then the whole world is saved by my acceptance of who I am. Now, I don't have to understand how that happens, and I don't have to understand how that works. That as I accept the truth about myself, then the whole world benefits and gains from my awareness by my acceptance. I don't have to understand how that happens because I don't quite understand how we are actually one. Okay? I don't understand oneness yet. We don't understand oneness yet. But when we do, as we do learn what oneness is and what it means and how we are all actually connected, then you will understand how it is and how it can be that when you accept the truth about yourself, that everyone, the whole world benefits. So we take it on faith and we use it, and then we see that it's true. All right. But you can see how important your acceptance of your truth about yourself is. It doesn't only benefit you. Truly, what you do, what you accept, impacts the whole world, all of creation. What you believe about yourself is important to all of creation. It's important. Your healing, the acceptance of your truth about yourself is no idle accomplishment. It affects all of creation. You don't understand how that could happen yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. Of Course in Miracles says there's nothing more important. The whole purpose of time, the whole purpose of learning, the whole purpose of you being here now is that you would learn and accept the truth about yourself that was established by your creator, who is only love. That's the whole purpose of time. That's the whole purpose of being here, is to learn and to accept the truth about yourself. And there's nothing more important. The Course of Miracles actually calls it your profession. That's what the Course of Miracles calls it. Your function, your profession. That's your job here. And the only reason I'm not experiencing satisfaction and fulfillment in what I'm doing here now in the world is because that's not really my function. That's really not my natural profession. Course in Miracles says the natural profession of the children of God is learning who and what they really are as created by their author, love. Okay. So when you are focusing on the fulfilling of your only true function and your natural profession here on earth, then you will experience the total and complete fulfillment of the fulfilling of your function. So, and the benefits are the best benefits in the whole cosmos. Right. You think your job has good benefits now, or maybe your job don't have any benefits right now. Well, your true purpose and your true function here of accepting the truth about yourself, it has unlimited benefits. Unlimited benefits. that you don't have to pay for. All right. You are paid. You are supported in your one purpose and function, your one true profession of accepting the truth about yourself as only love. All right. Greg says, I remain as I was created, joined, and united. Exactly. And Mary says, I think when I can accept others, I can accept myself better. Absolutely. Irene says, we don't understand what oneness is yet. We're all learning. The whole world is innocent. Absolutely. Mary says, Mary says, self-acceptance has always been hard for me. I don't like my dark side. Right. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. Thank you for sharing that. Honest. I don't either. That's why it's dark, That's why we keep it hidden, because we don't like our dark side. But the Course in Miracles tells us that we only keep that hidden because we still believe that's the truth about ourselves. We still believe that really love is not our only reality. We believe that our inadequacies, our guilt, our shame, our body is what we really are, our true self. That's why people go, I'm afraid for you to see my true self. I'm afraid you wouldn't like my true self. People always assume that their true self is the self they don't like, the self that other people wouldn't like. So we only don't like our dark side because we still secretly believe that that's who we really are. And so we hide it, thinking that you can hide that, right? Now, as you accept the truth, as you practice accepting the truth about yourself as only love, then you will learn that the part of you that you hide because you don't like it, and that's why it's dark, you'll learn, oh, that's not me, and it never was me. The unloving, unlovable, guilty, angry, sad, inadequate, physical, failing self never was my truth. Wow, I was wrong about myself. And I'm thrilled now. I'm so glad that I was wrong about myself, because just like Mary, I didn't like my past self. I didn't like that. And that's why I was hiding it. And to hear the Course in Miracles tell me on every page that that's not me, that never was me, and who I really am is only loving and lovable and radiant, gorgeous. I'm so happy to be wrong about what I thought I was, that dark self that I was trying to hide, but which wouldn't be hidden. It's beautiful. Mary says, I'm going to try to accept myself as only love. Beautiful. And Mary, you will be gloriously, grandly supported by the universe, by all of God's creation in that effort. Every little teeny tiny little effort you make to hear the loving truth about yourself and to accept that, every little teeny tiny effort you make in that direction, the universe will gloriously support. The Course of Miracles says, never was so much given for so little. Never was so much reward and support given for such a tiny little effort. And that's what I'm talking about. I mean, what is the highest yield that I can experience or receive from the least amount of effort? This is the way. You make teeny tiny little efforts to hear the truth about yourself as only love, and the yield is exponentially multiplied in its return to you. Okay. That's why I love the Course. Okay. The truth about yourself, whether you're learning it, whether you're listening to it, whether you're practicing it, That is the most wise investment you could ever make. It's the smartest, most self-loving investment you could ever make in yourself and in reality. So, you're looking to make a smart investment, this is the smartest one. All right, and I am living proof, and I know Greg would say the same. Greg and I have been learning together recently about the investment in reality. Hi, Tricia. Lovely to see you, dear. I was saying that Greg and I have been learning about how to invest in the wisest way possible with the ultimate return. And what we've been hearing from the course is that the investment in reality, the reality of who and what you are, is the ultimate investment with the smallest investment and the highest yield. So anytime you spend hearing this loving truth about yourself and practicing accepting it, you are making the wisest investment with the highest yield that you can make. Okay. Just saying. I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there who, who have invested poorly, who have invested not wisely, like me in the past. The Course in Miracles says that the poor are not those who are inadequate or who lack. The poor are only those who have invested wrongly. That's who the poor is. You only feel poor when you've invested unwisely, meaning only when you've invested in what is not the truth about you or reality itself, right? Beautiful. Okay. Thank you. Mary says, you always inspire me with such miracles in myself. Absolutely. And Mary, you inspired me today when you texted me about your miracle this morning. It was so beautiful. Thank you for inspiring me with your miracle. As you, Mary, as you share with me the yield, the rewards that you are getting from your investment and the truth about yourself, it always inspires me and reminds me that that's what I want to do even more of. Yes. Thank you. Exactly, Irene. So wherever it is that you're experiencing lack or poverty, it's not because there is a lack in the universe. It's not because there's an inadequacy in you. There's not. It's just the result of poor investing in what is not true about yourself and in reality. All right. Okay. So we just heard it say that love has created you like itself, and that's why you're the light of the world. That's why God appointed you to be the savior of the world. That's why the world looks to you for its healing and its salvation. And it's why the world itself is saved by what you are. I save just by being what I truly am. I heal and I help the world just by being who I really am, which is only love. So stop trying so hard to get approval from the world. You don't need approval from the world. The world needs you to save it by accepting yourself as only love, as love created you. So stop trying so hard to get the world to like you. You are appointed as the world's savior. And you do that just by accepting the truth about who you are. All right. Trisha says, I can agree. I invested in the course. I agree. I invested in the course, and I was saved from alcoholism. I was saved from metastatic cancer. The third one is I got to be a model. She did. You did. She got to be a supermodel. I know. I love it. I love the rewards Trisha's saying from her investment in the course. She says it saved her from alcoholism, her investment in the course. Her investment in the course saved her from metastatic, I know I'm not saying that right, cancer. And then the other reward from her investment is, of course, that she got to be a supermodel, which she did. Amazing. At what age, Trisha, you got to be a supermodel? Love that. And after their greater undoing, living in harmony. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for sharing the yield of your investment in the course, which is reminding you about the truth about who you are. Absolutely. Love that. I love it. Thank you, Irene. And Mary says, did you ever feel that being loving was a weakness? My past taught me that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I learned, like everybody else did in my past, that love, being loving and lovable, was a weakness. Absolutely. We all learned that. We all learned that our true power was our weakness, right? We all learned that attack has power and guilt has power. That's what we learned. And, but we know now that that can't be true because it didn't yield greater freedom, greater joy, greater abundance in our lives. Okay. Yeah. Greg says, way to invest, Trisha. So that's what we're all learning how to do, is being better investors. And thank you, Trisha, for sharing that. It's perfect. I love it. That's a pretty good yield on your investment, Trisha. Mm-hmm. All right. And now we're learning where real power comes from. We're learning that real power comes from accepting ourselves as only love, right? We're learning that that's what real power is. And we're seeing how when we choose to love instead of attack ourselves and others, that what we experience is all the power and the joy and the peace and the abundance that we had learned that attack and fear would get us. That's what we're learning. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, Trisha. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Okay. That was paragraph 1. Now we're going to paragraph 2. It says, so in paragraph 2, we're going to make every effort today in this class to reach the truth about you. That's what we're going to do in this class. All right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make every effort in this class right now to reach the truth about us, which means we're going to make every effort in this class today to realize fully, if only for a moment, that the truth is true about ourselves. We're going to make an effort in this class today to realize the truth about ourselves, to reach the truth, to reach this truth. So in this workbook lesson, you could reach the truth about yourself. And if you make an effort to do so in this lesson. So that's what we're doing in this lesson today. We're making an effort to reach the truth about ourselves. What truth about ourselves? The one that love created me like itself. And we're going to try to realize fully, if only for an instant, that this is the truth about ourselves, that love created us like itself. And that's all we are. So in the longer practice period for today, we will think about our reality as only love. And we will think about our reality's wholly unchanged nature, how it doesn't change. Our reality, our truth, our identity doesn't change. It doesn't start off as loving and then go to evil. We're going to think about how our reality as only love does not change. It doesn't change with circumstances. It doesn't change with relationships. It doesn't change from day to day. It doesn't change from when we're a baby to when we're an old person. We're going to think about how our reality as only love does not change. We're going to think about its wholly unchanged nature. My nature as love is completely, wholly unchanging. It doesn't change with people's opinion of me. And it doesn't change with different circumstances in my life. The truth about me does not change just because other people don't see it. Even when I don't see it, my true nature as only love does not change. We're going to think about that in this class today. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to begin by repeating this truth. Love created me like itself. And then we're going to spend a few minutes in adding some relevant thoughts, such as holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. Helpfulness created me helpful. Perfection created me perfect. So we're taking the idea love created me like itself, and then we're going to add some relevant thoughts to it. Not only did love create me like itself as loving and lovable, but holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. Helpfulness created me helpful. Perfection created me perfect. Any attribute which is in accordance with God as God defines God's self is appropriate. We are trying today to undo your definition of God and replace your definition of God with God's definition of God's own self. So we're trying to replace our old definition of God, which is also our old definition of ourself, by the way. And we're going to replace our old definition of God with God's own definition of God's self. So, how does God define God's self? God defines God's self as loving, holy, kind, helpful, and perfection. Okay. So, and so any attribute which is in accordance with God as God defines God's own self is appropriate for our practicing today. So interesting that here it is that we're being reminded of how God defines God's self, right? As only loving. That's it. Only loving, kind, helpful, which is what holy means. So again, we are trying to undo our definition of God and our own definition and replace our old definition of God with God's own definition of God's self. And we are also trying to emphasize in this lesson today that you are a part of God's definition of God's self. So, however God defines itself, you are part of that definition. How does God define itself? Well, that's how you are going to come to define yourself. You're part of God's definition of God's own self. So however God defines itself, that's your definition of yourself. Wow. Interesting that It's not like, oh, God has God's meaning over here, and then here's your meaning over here. God's meaning is your meaning. Wow. Who knew? So you are part of, however God defines himself, is your definition of yourself. God's meaning is your meaning. And that one meaning is love. God's meaning is love, and your meaning is love. And everything else that you think about yourself is a mistake. It's just something that you learned that is false. And aren't you glad to be wrong about what you learned about yourself? Aren't you glad to learn that you were wrong about what God is? We were wrong about what we learned God is, and we were completely wrong about what we learned that we are. And considering what we used to believe that we are, that's a big improvement, a big improvement. Oh, I'm so happy to be wrong about what I learned that I was in the past. I'm so glad to learn that I was wrong about what I thought I was. And I'm so glad to learn that I was wrong about what I thought God was. So happy to be wrong about that. So happy to be wrong about what I thought I was, what I learned I was in the past. Because I don't know about you, but in the past, I didn't learn that I was only love. Did you? Raise your hand if you learned in the past that you are only love. Anyone? I know I didn't. And nobody I know personally learned only that they are only love. So, so let us celebrate that we were wrong about who and what we are. I'm so happy that I was wrong about that. You know, I don't know about you, but I learned that I was separate, guilty, inadequate, not good enough, unworthy, different than everybody else, unworthy, less deserving than others, etc., etc. I learned that I was mortal, fallible, and full of guilt. That's what I learned in the past. And I'm so happy to learn that that was not the truth about me. And I'm so happy to learn that God is not judging me. I'm so happy to learn that God is not condemning me. I'm so happy to learn that God is not judgmental or condemning. I'm so happy to learn that God is not difficult to please. I'm so happy to learn that God is not demanding that I sacrifice in order to be worthy of God's love. I'm so happy to learn that I was wrong about how I have to sacrifice who and what I am to be worthy of God's love. I'm so happy to learn that I was wrong about all that. But notice that as much as it would benefit me to learn that I was wrong about myself and God, as much as it would benefit me to learn that God has never condemned me, God only loves me, and that I'm only always unconditionally worthy of God's love, I'm so happy to learn that that's what's really going on. That's what's really happening. That's the truth about me. That's that alone could serve to make me happy for the rest of my life, right? But why is it that even though that would be the ultimately best news that one could ever experience, it'd be like hitting the spiritual jackpot, why is it that I still resist it? Why is it that I still believe other things that I learned from the past? Well, that is the question, Grasshopper. Beautiful. Trisha says, I'm so glad I was wrong. Yes. And Mary says, I learned I was not enough from the world and myself and my thoughts. Exactly. And we learned that we were inadequate from our parents and our teachers and our priests and rabbis and imams. And we learned from others, that's what we all learned. And the Course in Miracles says that ultimately at some point we're going to rejoice ecstatically that we were wrong. Okay. I love how the Course in Miracles taught me how that if I don't like how I feel, if I'm experiencing something besides joy and peace and love, that I must be wrong. I love that. Talk about something that's valuable, right? So now the Course in Miracles has taught me that when I don't like how I feel, to say, I must be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I must be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Either one. And when you say that, you are asking for proof that you are wrong. And when you accept that you are wrong about what you thought you were and what God was, then you get the ecstatic reward. You get the ecstatic results of seeing that the truth is that you were wrong, because the truth is that you are only love and you deserve only love. You deserve only love, and you deserve only the abundance and the safety and the security and peace that accompanies love, that love deserves. Beautiful. All right. Then it says, paragraph 3, after you have gone over several such related thoughts, try to let all thoughts drop away for a brief preparatory interval, and then try to reach past all your images and preconceptions about yourself to the truth in you. So the practice here is that you're going to be speaking the truth to yourself. Love created me like itself. Kindness created me kind. Peace created me peaceful. Helpfulness created me helpful. Perfection created me perfect. As you allow yourself to repeat the idea for today, the truth about yourself, with some variations, then you try to reach past all the images and preconceptions of yourself that you learned in the past. Trying to reach past all. So here's how it goes. As you start practicing, love created me like itself, kindness created me kind, perfection created me perfect, helpfulness created me helpful, and such, what's going to happen is all of your, what does it say? All of your images and preconceptions about yourself are going to rise to the surface. You know that's not true. You know you're guilty. You know you're a failure. You know you're inadequate. You know you're a loser. Remember this, remember that, right? And so what it's saying is that as you say the truth about yourself, then you're going to have to reach past all of the things that you learned about your past to the contrary. So as you begin to say the truth about yourself, hear the truth about yourself, all the ego's lies about what you are that you learned in the past, they're all going to surface to try to show you how the truth about you cannot be true. And then the practice is using the truth that you're hearing, using the idea for today to literally reach past all of what the ego's bringing up to show you, to prove to you that you ain't only love, you're not perfect. And so we're practicing reaching beyond all of the past things about ourselves that we learned about ourselves that wasn't true. That's the practice. We say the truth about ourselves, and as all the opposite things that we learned about ourselves come up to prove to us the truth isn't true about us, we reach past it. We reach past it using the following the light of the lesson that we're practicing. That's the practice of this idea. Mary says, yes. I need to share this video to two of my friends and my sister. This is amazing therapy. Course in Miracles is the ultimate therapy. Trust me on that one. As a psychotherapist for going on 30 years, I have seen a lot of different therapeutic modalities, a lot of them. I've been around the therapeutic world and the metaphysical healing world for most of my life. And my perception of A Course in Miracles is that it is the ultimate therapeutic curriculum. Body, mind, and spirit, all of it, starting with your spirit, then going to healing your mind, then moving to the healing of your body. Absolutely. If all of our suffering is coming from an identity problem, then as we accept our true identity as only love, then all the other problems that sprung from our false identity, our identity problem, are resolved. The emotional problems, the physical problems, the financial problems, the relational problems. So, Course in Miracles is the ultimate therapeutic curriculum, like Mary calls it, amazing therapy, right? Okay, miraculous therapy. Now, then it says, and after you have gone over several such related thoughts, try to let all thoughts drop away for a brief preparatory interval, like we were saying, and then we're going to try to reach past all the images our ego is pulling up about us that we learned in the past. As we reach past them to the truth about ourselves as expressed by the lesson for today. Now, if love created you like itself, then this self that love created in you must be in you. So that true self, your true self as only love, only loving and lovable self, that is a self. It's not a self you got to go make for yourself. It's not a self you got to go find for yourself. This self, your true self, your self that is only loving and only lovable, despite whatever you learn to the contrary, it must be in you now. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to work for it. Don't have to pay for it. Don't have to make it up. It's already in you now, because it is the self that God created as you. And so since it is you, since God created this self to be you, then it must be in you now. Don't gotta wait for it. Don't gotta sacrifice for it. Don't gotta build it. Don't gotta make it. Don't gotta go find it. It's who you are now. It must be in you now. Isn't that good news? Think about how much time and money and effort that this saves us. I don't have to go find it, make it, buy it, chase it, possess it, etc. It's in me now. It's who I am right now. I love that. You mean I don't have to change anything about myself to accept my true self? I don't have to get a new job. I don't have to get a degree. I don't have to change my hair. I don't have to change my relationships. I don't have to change anybody. You don't have to do anything. It's already in me now. It's already who I am. This is a course in remembering who you are. This isn't a course in becoming someone or something you're not. That's not what this course is about. This course is about remembering who you already are right now and could never not be. That's what this curriculum is about. I love it. This is the lazy person's guide to enlightenment. I love that. I love how little the Course in Miracles. I love how little this curriculum is asking of us. Like I was saying earlier, never has been so much given for so little asked. Never has there been a better investment with a smaller investment and the highest yield. There's no curriculum, no therapeutic modality that offers more for so little asked. Like it says, if love created you like itself, then this self, your true self, must be in you. And somewhere in your mind, your true self is there for you to find. I love it. So easy. So free. I love things that are free and easy. How about you? And my only issue with A Course in Miracles, the only issue I have with my true self being so easy to find and free is that I've learned that I don't deserve it easy and free. We've all learned that if it's easy and free, it must be a deception. It must be the devil, right? And so now when something is easy and free, we are very suspicious. But A Course in Miracles is now telling us that unless it's easy to find and free and already in you now, then it can't be from God. It can't be your true self. If it's because God is only love, God's not going to put your true identity somewhere where you wouldn't think to find it, or somewhere where you can't find it, or somewhere where you had to go somewhere to find it, where you had to work for it. God would not make it such that your peace and your happiness and your abundance and your joy is something you got to go find and pay for and earn and work for. Anything that's making your peace and your happiness something you got to look for, earn, and work for, that's not something that loves you. That's something that doesn't love you. And because God is only love, God has created your true self within you as you. You don't got to look for it, and you don't have to pay for it, and you don't have to work for it, and you don't have to earn it, and you don't have to worry about losing it, because God is love. God is only loving. It's so deep. It's so deep how deeply we have learned that we are not love, and we don't deserve only love. We learned we're not only love, and we've learned that we don't deserve only love. And so now when we hear something telling us the truth, we feel very suspicious, very suspicious. We just like, can't believe it. And so we don't use it, and then we don't get the results that prove that it's true. Beautiful. Mary says, so when I feel loving and kind, that who God is, I always thought I was the one who created my kindness. I was so wrong. Exactly. Isn't that interesting? That's right. I thought I had to make myself good and loving and lovable. I didn't learn that I already am that. That's how God created me to be. I don't have to make myself good. I don't have to make myself lovable. I don't have to make myself worthy. That's such a miracle to even hear that. I don't have to make myself worthy. I don't have to make myself loving. I don't have to make myself lovable. I don't have to make myself good enough. I don't have to make myself kind. You know, I already am that, because that's the way God created me to be. And that's the way God created everyone to be. That's our truth. And the only time that I act unloving, the only time I act unkind, is when I am believing that I am the author of myself. That's the only time when that I act unkind or unloving. It's the only time I see myself as inadequate or not good enough. It's when I am believing that I made myself and that I am the author of my own reality. The only time I'm being unkind or unloving is when I'm trying to be right about myself when I'm wrong. Wow. And that's the truth about anybody else. If you're encountering somebody and they're not being kind or loving, and they see you as inadequate, that's only because they believe that their creation is up to them. And they don't know how they were created to be. They don't know their own true identity. They don't know their own reality. And that's why they're being unkind and unloving. Wow. All right. Okay. So we're going to go to paragraph 4. All right. Let's see here. Right. Right. Let's go to paragraph 4, shall we? It says, you may find it necessary, to repeat the idea from time to time to replace distracting thoughts. So we're hearing right here that the way to replace your wrong ideas about yourself that are making you unhappy and unhealthy and broke is to repeat this idea to yourself. Why? To replace your old distracting thoughts about what you are. So how do I replace my old ideas about how I'm not essentially loving and lovable, and how I got to make myself loving and lovable and good enough? How do I replace those untrue thoughts about myself, what I learned about myself in the past? How do I replace it? By repetition of the truth about myself, by repeating to myself regularly the truth about myself. Love created me like itself. That is how my old, false, unloving, and lovable self-concepts about myself are replaced. This is how our false ideas about ourselves as unloving and unlovable are replaced. They are replaced by repeating the truth about yourself. In today's practice, the truth that we're going to be repeating over to ourselves to replace our old beliefs about ourselves is: love created me like itself. Love created me loving. Kindness created me kind. Perfection created me perfect. Helpfulness created me helpful. Creativeness created me creative. Okay. That's how we replace our old beliefs that we learned about ourselves that don't make us happy, we repeat over and over and over the truth about ourselves until the truth about ourselves replaces what we used to believe about ourselves. Okay? That's how this therapeutic modality works. This is how you change your mind. This is how you change your mind from what you used to believe about yourself, what you learned in the past, to the truth about yourself. This is how you change your mind. It's so simple and so easy. But that's why the ego ain't gonna remember it. That's why your ego, even though it's so simple and so loving, your ego's like, what was I supposed to say? What was I supposed to say today? What's my workbook lesson for today? What was that? You read it in the morning, and then, by the end of the day, you're like, what was that workbook lesson? Even though it's so simple and so loving and so yielding of the ultimate reward, but we don't remember it. We can't remember it. What was I supposed to say? How many times was I supposed to say it? How come something that is so easy, so simple, so rewarding, so hard to remember to do? Okay. Beautiful. I love it. Trisha says lessons there. Yes. And then Trisha says, God has made it possible for me to live a quiet life, plenty of time to do this work. Live alone, no distractions, no job, disability, no distractions. My life is open to listening and knowing the truth. How beautiful. And I've noticed, Trisha, as you are experiencing that, the more that I dedicate my time to the acceptance of the truth, to the practicing of these ideas that they might replace my old belief system, the more time is given me to do that. The Course in Miracles says, when you use time kindly, then time will be kind to you. The more you use time for healing, the more time is given you for that. And so I see that you are experiencing that. I'm experiencing that. And how beautiful is that? The Course in Miracles says the right use of time is using time to learn the truth about yourself, to practice the healing that comes from the practice of these ideas. That's the right use of time. That's the only real and loving purpose of time. And when you use time for the purpose of healing, then time will be kind with you, and more time will be given you to do just that. So thank you for sharing that, Trisha. And thanks for reminding us all that that's one of the rewards of our investment in this healing curriculum. So wonderful. All right. So it says, paragraph 4, you may find it necessary to repeat the idea from time to time. Why? To replace distracting thoughts, ego thoughts. You may also find that repeating the idea from time to time is not sufficient. You may realize that you need to continue to add other thoughts related to the truth about yourself. So you may need to be not just from time to time remembering this idea, but you may need to be remembering this idea all day in some form or another. Yet perhaps you can succeed in going past that and through the interval of thoughtlessness to the awareness of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love. Oh, That would be awesome, don't you think? One of the rewards or one of the results of doing this lesson today, when you succeed in going past all those distracting thoughts that your ego is giving you about what your ego tells you you are, when you keep on repeating the truth, repeating the lesson, repeating the truth about yourself, continuing to repeat the idea to yourself despite all the distracting thoughts that the ego is pushing up about how you can't be only loving and you can't be only lovable. As you push past all those distracting thoughts by repeating the idea, for today love created me like itself, what happens is that you will be pushing past and through the interval of thoughtlessness. And when you push past and through the interval of thoughtlessness, then what you're going to experience is you're going to be aware of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you. Woo-wee. When you recognize yourself as love created you, you're going to be perceiving a blazing light. You're going to have a blazing light in your awareness. Wow. And that's what is waiting for you just past all your ego's resistance to practicing this idea today. If you allow yourself to push through and reach through that interval where your ego is going to be pulling up every kind of resistance to your acceptance of the idea of yourself as only love, as you push through and keep repeating the idea despite your ego's resistance, you're going to pop through the interval of resistance. The interval of resistance. Every time you begin to practice repeating the truth to yourself, repeating this idea to yourself, love created me like itself, and you're repeating it whether you believe it or not, you're repeating it no matter what's going on, your ego is going to pull up an interval of resistance. Your ego is going to pull up a resistance. It has to protect itself, right? To keep itself in business. And so as you keep repeating the idea, the truth about yourself, despite whatever resistance the ego is pushing up, whatever the ego is bringing up from your past to show you that you are not only loving and lovable, fool, as you keep repeating the idea and repeating it, pushing past the interval of resistance the ego pushes up, you will burst through. You will have in your awareness a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you. That's what's on the other side of your ego's resistance to truth. It's so good to remember that, because anytime you're practicing the course, anytime you go to practice a lesson or read the text or anything, the ego is going to pull up an interval of resistance. The ego is going to try to distract you. The ego is going to try to distract you with images from your past that the ego is using to show you that, oh, you think you're only loving and lovable. Oh yeah. What about this? Remember this? You weren't only loving and lovable that in that memory, right? So just know that your ego is going to be trying to distract you. Your ego is going to be pushing up resistance to you accepting to you using, to you even remembering the truth about yourself. That's just part of the deal. The ego wouldn't be the ego if it'd be like, oh, you just want to accept the truth about yourself and not believe anything that you ever learned from me in the past. No problem. The ego is not going to do that. Your ego is going to bring up resistance. It's going to try to distract you from even remembering the idea, much less repeating it, much less using it. So, but as you continue to push through that resistance, push through the interval of distraction and resistance, on the other side of that is an awareness of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you. Okay, just wanted you to hear that so that when that resistance comes up, you recognize what it is. You don't fall for it, and you're like, ooh, I must be getting close. Let's keep on going. Let me keep on practicing. Let me keep on repeating the idea for today, even if I don't understand or believe it. Let me keep on using it. Let me keep on repeating it all day long. Okay? And when you know what's on the other side, then it's easier to push past that resistance, those distractions. All right. Oh, thank you, DR. Mm-hmm. DR, beautiful poetry, a blazing light. I love the poetry of the Course. I'm a poet, as many of you know, and that's one of the things I love the most about the Course. It's just pure poetry, and it lifts you to the heights of ecstasy, or it punches you in the gut, right, with its truth. But it is so beautiful, and the Course in Miracles is written in iambic pentameter like Shakespeare is. So for me, a poet and a Libra, the Course in Miracles is just pure poetry, and it's like reading, the ultimate spiritual Shakespeare. So I love that. I love that you noticed that. Thank you so much. Mary says, Helen Schuckman, the author of the Course, loves Shakespeare. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, exactly. Beautiful. Yes, you guys are awesome. Okay, it's so helpful to remember that. I just want you to really hear that because your ego is going to push up all kinds of resistance and distractions to you hearing the ideas, practicing the ideas, repeating the ideas. But if you recognize what the ego's up to and you learn how to recognize when the ego's distracting you, then you don't fall for it as easily. And you push through that resistance, you push through the distractions, you don't fall for the distractions. And then you get the ultimate reward on the other side, which is you experience in your awareness a blazing light in which you recognize yourself. So when you recognize yourself, you're going to see a blazing light. What are you? Not only are you only love, but you are light. You are a blazing light. You are radiance. You are radiant light. That's what you are. You're not a body. You're not your ego. You are a loving and lovable, radiant, gorgeous light. You are a blazing light. That is what you will see when you recognize yourself as you are. You're not going to see a body. You're going to see a radiant, blazing light that is only love, only loving, only lovable forever. Whew. But you know what? That would be a big freaking improvement about how I see myself most of the time. I don't look in the mirror and go, what a radiant, gorgeous, blazing light. Look at me. I am only love. Do you? So seeing yourself your true self as you really are is going to be a big freaking improvement. And you won't need to worry about what your hair looks like or what your outfit looks like or what your body looks like. Right. That will be completely irrelevant. And like I said, that would be a big improvement. Right. Our beauty does not come from the body. Our beauty has nothing to do with the body at all. Beauty, our true beauty, comes from our true radiance, the radiance of our true identity. That is our real and lasting beauty. You can't be yourself. You can't accept yourself as you were created and not be gorgeously radiant, beautifully radiant. So if you don't see yourself as gorgeous and radiant and beautiful, shining, then you are not seeing your true beauty. You are not seeing your true self. No true self is ugly. Every true self is gorgeous, radiant in the light, blazing, glorious, radiant, gorgeous light. Everybody's true self is gorgeous and radiant in light. It's the radiance that is truly beautiful. It's not the body looking a certain way that is beauty. Beauty is the true radiance of our true self. So, just saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mary says, the course is definitely not easy to read. The ego has me give up on reading it sometimes. Thank you for saying that. And that's why I was emphasizing about the resistance that the ego brings up, the distractions the ego brings up, the resistance the ego brings up. I really wanted to speak to that because that is what so many of us experience. I still experience the distraction and the resistance still. You know, I start to study, start to read, and it's like a million things I need to do, right? A million things. Right. And which is the resistance. The distractions are coming from the ego, my ego's resistance. And the more that I recognize what it is, distraction, resistance, because my ego doesn't want me to learn what the truth about me is, the less I'm fooled by it. And I'll be, oh, ego, yeah, I know. The phone always rings when I start to try to read. When I start to try to do my lesson, that's when, that's when I remember that I need to do the laundry. And that's when the phone rings. And that's when the dogs go crazy, right? So the more you recognize what the ego is doing and why the ego is doing it and when the ego is doing it, then the less you are fooled by it, the less you are actually distracted by it. And then you get to push through it and get the ultimate reward for pushing through the resistance. Okay. All right. Mary asked me, do you start your day with a lesson or reading? Yes, I do. Every morning, I start my day with, I do my workbook lesson, and then I meditate on that workbook lesson. And that my workbook lesson is the way I start my meditation time. And my meditation time is basically where I'm repeating the idea for the day, my workbook lesson. And then I am adding to that idea, that lesson to the day, with giving my day to God, giving my body to God, giving my life to God, that God might use my body and my day and my life for the will I share with God, which is the healing of humanity, the healing of the world. And that's how I start my day. And I usually start my day doing that workbook lesson and meditation time at sunrise. I call it first light meditation, to get the healing benefits of the first rays of the sunlight, of the rising sun. Beautiful. And Jerry says, keep on keeping on. Amen to that. All right. Okay. How are we doing on time here? Oh, we're very close to time. All right. Then I'm going to finish the last 2 paragraphs, and then that'll be it for today. All right. So it says, oh, I'm sorry. We just finished. We're about to finish 4. So it says, yes, if you succeed in going past and through the ego's interval of resistance and distraction to the awareness of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you, then yeah, you'll get that reward. Now, then it says, so be confident, however, that you will do much today to bring that awareness of the blazing light that is you nearer to everybody, whether you feel you have succeeded or not. I love it. That's another important thing there, that it's telling you to be confident that you're doing much to bring this awareness of this blazing light that is us to everybody. You're bringing this awareness nearer to everyone, whether you feel like you have succeeded or not. I love that. How loving and beautiful is that? So here's the practice. And now I want you to be confident that you've brought the awareness of this blazing light of yourself as love to everyone, whether you feel like you succeeded or not. Isn't that beautiful? Feel confident in that, it tells us. I love that. And then it says in paragraph 5, it will be particularly helpful today to practice the idea for the day as often as you can. You need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible. You know why? Because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. I'm going to say that again. It says you need to hear the truth about yourself as often, as frequently as possible, because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. And so 4 or 5 times an hour, and perhaps even more, it would be most beneficial to remind yourself that love created you like itself. However love is, that's how you are. Whatever love is like, that's what you are like. Whatever love does, that's what you do. Whatever love is, that's what you are. It says, so hear the truth about yourself in this. Hear the truth about yourself in this. Love created you like itself. You are like love, and that's it. And you need to hear that you are like love so many times, so frequently, because your mind is so preoccupied with lies about yourself that you learned that taught you that you are not like love. That's everything that we've learned. You're not like love. You're not like love at all. And since that's all we learned, that we are not like love, then we need to hear the truth about ourselves as frequently as possible. Okay? So that's what you need to know, right? So it's saying maybe 4 or 5 times an hour, but it's really saying you need to hear it as often as possible, right? That's why starting from the time I was maybe a year or so into the course, I started recording the course in my own voice. reading, starting from chapter 1 and going all the way through the workbook, so that I could listen to it while I was driving, while I was taking a bath, while I was sleeping, while I was hiking, while I was working, so that I could hear the truth as frequently as possible about myself, to um, push past all of my distractions with my false self images that I had learned in the past. Now, then it says, last paragraph, try to realize in the shorter practice periods that this is not your tiny solitary voice that's telling you that love created you like itself. Try to remember, that's not your little ego, tiny solitary voice ego that's telling you this. This is the voice for God telling you this. That's right. The ego would never tell you that, right? The ego, it's not the ego's voice telling you that you are like love, that love created you like yourself, because the ego would never tell you that. So realize that when you're hearing the voice telling you that you are like love and love created you like itself, you're not hearing your lonely, solitary ego voice. You're hearing the voice for God, reminding you, the voice for God reminding you of your creator and of yourself. That's what you're hearing. You're not hearing the lonely, solitary voice of your ego. You're hearing the voice for God reminding you of your creator, who is only love, and reminding you of yourself, which is only love. And this is the voice of truth replacing the ego that's telling you about yourself. And it's replacing everything the ego tells you. The voice that's telling you that love created you like itself is the voice that is telling you the truth about yourself. It's the voice of truth. And it's the voice that is replacing everything that your ego tells you about yourself with the simple truth about yourself. You were created by love like itself. And the voice that's telling you that is the voice of truth. And this is the voice of truth that will replace everything that your ego is telling you about yourself. And it will replace everything the ego is telling you about yourself with the simple truth about yourself, which is you were created by love like love itself. That's the truth. All right. So beautiful. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining this healing circle. Thanks for joining with your time and your energy and your participation and your thoughts and your laughter. Thank you so much for that. I so appreciate that. And if you would like to make a financial expression of appreciation to this Miracles Ministry, thus expanding its extension into the world, then one way you can do that is to go to my new website, divinerevolutionarq.com, and make a donation. And thank you for that. Another way that you could support these ideas in this channel, extending these ideas out into the world, is you could like, share, and subscribe. That's one way to do it. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, you could post it to your page. And just ways to increase the strength of these ideas that are increased by sharing them and extending them into the world that so desperately needs to hear these ideas, to release itself from darkness and fear and accept itself and see itself in the blazing light of love. All right. So if you want to make a financial expression of appreciation, that's how you can do it. If you want to know more about the classes that I do through the week, or if you want to learn more about my holistic counseling practice, Miracle Psychotherapeutics, That is in the details of the class in whether Facebook or YouTube. And so now let's just do a couple minutes of an integration meditation. I end most of my classes with an integration meditation where we just take the ideas and we take them in, we breathe, let them percolate down into our mind, deeper depths of our mind, and we use the ideas in some area of our life. Because remember, the use of them is what proves to us that these ideas are true. So, what I want you to do is close your eyes if you can. If you're not operating heavy machinery, close your eyes and take a breath. Just breathe. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Tricia. That's beautiful. All right. So let's close our eyes and just breathe together. Just notice how you feel having heard these ideas. How do you feel having heard these ideas? And how do you feel having heard these ideas in a circle of mighty companions who are here joining as well to hear the truth about themselves and to be healed by the truth? Just breathe that feeling in, take it in. Let that feeling take root and send out roots deep into your soul, deep into your mind. We want these ideas and this feeling to set within us. And now I want you to say to yourself, love created me like itself. And I want you to repeat this idea and think about this idea. Think about what it means. Think about what it implies. Notice how you feel as you repeat this idea to yourself. Love created me like itself. And now add ideas to it if you feel inspired to. Love created me loving. I am like love. What love is, I am. What is not loving is not me. What is not loving is not true about me or anyone else. And breathe. Kindness created me kind. My true self is kind. Creativity created me creative. Peace created me peaceful. True power created me powerful. Perfection created me perfect. And notice any distracting thoughts your ego is bringing up to distract you from this truth. Notice any resistance the ego is putting up so that you don't speak the truth about yourself. Notice and move past and keep repeating the truth about yourself. Love created me loving. Joy created me joyous. Abundance created me abundant. Eternity created me eternal. And freedom created me free. And breathe. Beautiful. All right, you guys. Way to love yourself. Way to take your place among the saviors of the world. On behalf of the world that you are saving, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys more than I can say. And I will see you when I see you.